morning, I'm George Pino, the CEO of Commercial Brokers International. I have some breaking news for you that I think might be of interest across the nation, especially though in the Los Angeles submarket. So last Friday, the judge ruled that the VA actually had some illegal leases with UCLA, Brentwood School, and also a private drilling company. They actually outlawed those leases and said that they were no longer in effect and shut them out that day. So UCLA no longer has a baseball field, and as far as the Brentwood schools go, they are still talking about it because they're looking to determine whether or not there are benefits that the VA can actually have as far as the veterans, in addition to what the school use is for that property. Now, this all started back, quite a ways back, probably about 15 or so years ago, where there's a lawsuit, and that lawsuit was settled in 2015. That was for the VA. The VA was to build approximately 1,200 homes for veterans, permanent housing for veterans, and that was the agreement that they made in exchange for the settlement on the lawsuit. Well, cut to today, there have been 233 homes built to date, so not quite exactly the number that they were shooting for, and that's where the lawsuit, the new lawsuit came into play, saying that the VA did not live up to the rights or live up to the agreement that they made when it came to the settlement agreement back in 2015. Cut to last Friday, the judge ultimately ordered that the VA now has to build roughly 700 temporary housing facilities on land that is at the VA in the next 12 to 18 months, and in addition to that, another 1,800 permanent housing facilities, so 2,500 homes that they have to build within the next 24 months, 12 to 18 for the temporary housing and an extra 6 months for the permanent housing as well. How that's going to affect everything is still to be seen. There are, as I mentioned earlier, some review and arguments as far as the benefit that the Brentwood School may have to the veterans. You know, they're already giving, for instance, scholarships to veterans' children, and they're looking to actually now potentially share the facilities with veterans as well, in which case the Brentwood School may be able to stay on the veterans' campus at that time. So, land-wise, 2,500 homes sounds like quite a bit of property, but what we're talking about here is also, the VA campus over in West LA is about the size of half of New York Central Park. So there's more than enough land to build the housing that's needed and required and mandated. And this is actually something that goes way back in history because, back in the 50s and 60s and even into the early 70s, there literally were thousands of VA veterans living on the campus. They have a church, everything, all the facilities. They even had trolleys set up to go down to the beach into Westwood. So, that is a campus that was originally designed that way, to be that way, but it's fallen, and since the 70s, it's kind of changed where a lot of the housing, after the 70s earthquakes, they never rebuilt them. That's when they actually migrated a lot of the veterans out of there. So it was never really rebuilt for them and for that purpose. So the big question, though, and the big takeaway is, if a court can order that leases are illegal for the veterans' use because it's not really helping veterans in itself, such as the UCLA baseball field, then where does that place all the literally thousands of tenants to the VA right now across the United States? Or do they actually have leases, or can those leases be overturned because the veteran does not, or the VA or the veteran groups sue to say that the use or the leases do not really benefit the veterans, even if they're getting money from that. That could also impact the Veterans Administration on their budget, because they do earn millions of dollars a year just from their leases as well. So stay tuned for this. I think there's a lot to play out and see what's going to happen and how it's going to really affect the commercial real estate world and housing within not just West LA, but also across the nation when it comes to the other VA campuses as well.